Welcome to Tribune News on Q. We are live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Tribune Now on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. I'm Abegail Esquierda, bringing you this week's top stories. Let's get started. The Philippines and India will exchange best practices in healthcare following President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s state visit, DOH Secretary Ted Herbosa said. Meeting with India's Health Minister Sri Jagat Prakash Nada, discussions covered universal health coverage, village health workers, and telemedicine. A memorandum of Ayurveda and alternative healthcare was signed, with India pledging support. Herbosa hopes the partnership will boost the Philippines' health system and services. Businessman Atong Ang denied involvement in the disappearance of dozens of sabongeros, following a DOJ complaint filed by victims' families. His lawyer called whistleblower Julie Patidongan's claim self-serving and unsubstantiated. The complaint includes charges of multiple murder, serious illegal detention, and obstruction of justice. Affidavits from Patidongan's and his brothers allege Ang ordered abductions and cover-ups. Actress Gretchen Barreto and ex-PNP chief Janelle Estomo also face accusations. DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan assured the public on Wednesday that alleged ghost flood control projects will be validated and investigated. The statement comes after Senator Panfilo Lacson called for accountability in failed or fictitious infrastructure projects. President Marcos earlier vowed that even allies involved in corruption would face consequences. Bonoan said projects will be verified one by one, especially those inserted into the budget without proper technical review or monitoring. Senator Risa Hontiveros said it's unlikely for the Senate to convene as an impeachment court for Vice President Sara Duterte if the Supreme Court rejects motion for reconsideration. The Senate earlier archived the case following the Supreme Court's ruling that it violated constitutional provisions. Hontiveros, however, stressed the Senate's duty to uphold accountability and said the chamber remains open to reconsideration if the High Court reverses its decision. Thousands gathered in Hiroshima on Wednesday to mark 80 years since the 1945 atomic bombing. With a moment of silence held at 8:15 a.m., the blast's exact time. Mayor Kazumi Matsui urged world leaders to abandon nuclear weapons, warning against rising military buildups. Representatives from 120 nations, including the USA, attended. Survivors, now fewer than 100,000, continue to call peace as fears of repeating history grow amid global tensions. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered a 60-day suspension of rice importation starting September 1 to protect local farmers during harvest season. The directive, made after consultation with the Cabinet and Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chula Rel Jr., aims to stabilize palay prices and prevent cheap imports from hurting farmers. While tariff hikes were discussed, Marcos said it's not yet time to adjust rice import duties. 8 in 10 Filipinos want polluting corporations taxed for environmental destructions instead of passing costs to consumers, a Greenpeace Oxfam survey shows. With the Philippines battered by extreme weather and floods, respondents support levies on oil and gas firms, demanding funds to go affected communities. Environmental groups call it a push for climate justice, echoing global momentum after a UN court backed the right to seek damages. Critics also want loopholes closed and political ties with polluters curbed. Lionel Messi sustained a minor right leg muscle injury during Inter Miami's League Cup's match against Necaxa on Saturday in Fort Lauderdale. Messi fell after a challenge in the 10th minute and exited shortly after, showing visible frustration. Medical tasks followed, but his return remains uncertain. Coach Javier Mascherano said Messi isn't in pain and recovery will depend on treatment process. U.S. President Donald Trump has established and will lead a federal task force for 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, vowing to ensure a safe and successful event. Trump, joined by Vice President J.D. Vance, hinted at deploying the National Guard if needed. The move stirred political tensions with LA officials, but Olympic Chair Cassie Wasserman expressed support. Trump also reiterated his stance on transgender athletes and strict eligibility testing. For entertainment news, Nick Shen takes on the role of Jack in Into the Woods, performing alongside his mother, theater icon Lea Salonga, who plays the witch. In an interview, Nick said that working with his mom feels familiar, as theater has always been a second home. He added that Lea leaves directing to Chari Ares Pacochaga and focuses on motherly duties. The star-studded production runs until August 31 at Samsung Performing Arts Theater. And that's your top story for this week. Catch us live tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Daily Tribune Facebook page, Tribune Now on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok for your week's entertainment wrap-up. And at 4 p.m. on Dario Terada's Facebook page and YouTube channel for DTT Show with Alwin Ignacio and Alex Brosas. Again, I am Abegail Esquierda, and this has been Tribune News on Cue.